Actually, it's all right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. First, we will salute. First, the exits are in the back of the room. That one goes out into the foyer. That one goes directly outside. This one goes nowhere, and that goes into my office and then out into the hall. So, in the event that we need to evacuate, don't go that way. So we'll salute the flag, take a moment of silence, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, as it's our business meeting, and we have, at our business meeting every month, we're going to honor a resident of the month. This month, we've chosen Phyllis Mullaney because she has been a volunteer for more than 30 years at the community center. She shows up for every activity, for every season, Easter egg hunt, Santa, summer stuff. So she's always there, always helps. Apparently, I heard last week she filled some 500 Easter eggs for the Easter egg hunt. And I know it's been for more than 30 years because I've seen her at many, many of these events. So come on up, Phyllis. So Phyllis Mullaney, in recognition of your dedication to the town of Malta by providing exceptional volunteer service to our community, we hereby present the certificate of appreciation from the town of Malta.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now there's photos. Come on, everybody down. Oh, stop. I've known Phyllis for almost 30-some years, so, or so.
Every resident knows Phyllis.
Get this way a little more. All right.
Thank you so much, Phyllis. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. If anybody out there has any idea of a resident in Malta that does something extraordinary to make our community a better place, please put their name forward and we will consider them. The first official item on our business is the acceptance of the town clerk's minutes for our 2026 meeting.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have correspondence. I received a correspondence from resident George Fredericks. Dear Town Supervisor, I'm very concerned about all of the cut-down trees on Hermes Road. Several months ago, a project was undertaken to clear any hanging trees over the road and walkway. The project was done very cheaply, so all the wood and brush are just piled up on top of what has been there for years. This seems to be a culture in Malta to cut down trees and just leave them on the ground. Several years ago, a logging operation took place in the neighborhood where many of the trees were left behind in the staging area on Wineberry Lane. This past week, we all witnessed a tragedy in Texas that followed a tragedy in Hawaii. A pattern of wildfires due to climate change continues to burn the land, and people scratch their head and say, how did this happen? My biggest fear is the fire will start in Malta. We all know pine is very combustible, and the top of the trees with all the pine needles serves as a place for a fire to start or an accelerant to a fire. I've raised these concerns before to the Saratoga Water Company in the town of Malta, but I am disappointed with the lack of response. My passion is hiking, and I've seen the devastations fires can cause. All it takes is a buildup of wood, a spark, and a little wind, and you have a disaster on your hands. Malta has a large buildup of wood that continues to grow due to the culture that exists from many years ago. If you could request the companies involved to spend a little money and clean up the waste left behind from a previous project, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your consideration. This is also in the public file, if you want to read it again, and we will respond to George.
Who is responsible for Hermes Road?
For what?
Hermes Road, is that Global Foundry or the state?
No, it's the state of New York owns that property.
Do we know what contractor did that work?
I do not, and I haven't been in there to ask. I mean, we'll try to find out what work was actually done, even. Any other correspondence from anybody, or? Next is comments from town residents. Just before you come up, I know that you've noticed a lot of tree cutting on Dunning that is not in preparation for the state police barracks. It is part of an approved project that we've been working on for the past couple of months. And so they're doing the cutting to make the road to build homes back in there. It's a project that has, I believe, 25 homes, some single family, some townhomes. I think there's a map up there at is the map available? Map is available of the project if somebody wants to see it. I also want to remind everyone that this is public comment. It's not public question and answer. If you have questions that you'd like to be answered in the public meeting, please submit those questions in advance and we'll do our best. So anyone? Public comment? Why, look, we've missed you.
Hi, Kathy Eitzman, and I have two hats on today. My first hat is as a chairperson of the HPRC. I recently wrote an article for the Malta newsletter, and I received an email from Paul Perot for announcement at our town, or our senior meeting, but I also found it appropriate for the town board. So if you don't mind, I'll read it quickly and then give it to Jen. Paul Perot on Thursday the 6th wrote me this note, that Malta will celebrate its 221st birthday. That was in the year 1802. The first meeting of the town board took place and officers were elected. General Samuel Clark, friend of George Washington and a member of the 1794 Electoral College, was named the first supervisor. Other officers that we are familiar with today, such as clerk, assessor, commissioner of highways, and tax collector, were also elected. 3 positions, overseer of the poor, fence viewer, and pound keeper, while no longer part of the local government, were extremely important in the early days of our town. The overseer was expected to know what residents required assistance and to remove children from homes that were not beneficial to the child's well-being. They also helped in the process of warning out newcomers who might become a burden to the taxpayers. Fence viewers and pound keepers shared the responsibility for the destruction of wild beasts, thistles, and other obnoxious weeds to prevent the injury and destruction of sheep by dogs, and to levy and enforce the collection of a tax upon dogs. Additionally, they were charged with seeing that rams and stallions not run at large. Most positions of the early years paid either nothing or a small stipend, so a sense of public service was a motivating factor. That tradition continues today with citizens who give service to our town on the planning board, Board of Assessment Review, Community Emergency Response Team, Historic Preservation Review Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, Ethics Committee, Highway Safety Committee, Open Space Committee, Agriculture and Trails, the fire companies, and the ambulance corps. Most notable is on Thursday, April the 12th at 6:30 p.m., Paul will present the story of the Malta-born Elmer Ellsworth. Colonel Ellsworth led an extremely colorful life, and he was the first Union soldier killed in the Civil War. A personal friend of the Lincoln family, he was laid in state at the White House, an honor reserved for a small number of people. That program will take place at the Malta branch of the Round Lake Library. And now I put on my other hat. Kathy Eitzman, president of the Malta Seniors. A couple things of note. On April 1st at our meeting, we will have the Citizens Preparedness Corps come and speak to us. It is an open to the public meeting. You do need to pre-register for that because any registrant that attends that meeting that starts at 11:15 on Monday at the Malta Community Center will receive a go bag. The go bag is an emergency blanket, duct tape, which fixes everything, mask, water supply, crank radio. It has everything you would need in case there was an emergency in your home or if you got stuck in your car. So if you would like to attend that, please notify me and I will get you registered. Also on April the 20th at the Universal Preservation Hall, which is in Saratoga Springs. The U.S. Army Jazz Ambassadors will be presenting a concert. I have received 45 tickets gratis, and if you wish to attend that, you just need to let me know, and I will try to get you a ticket for that. So that is the U.S. Army Jazz Ambassadors at the University Preservation Hall in Saratoga Springs on Saturday, April the 20th at 7:30. And that's all she wrote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Kathy, what day was the Citizens Preparedness Readiness Group going to be there?
That is Monday, April the 1st, and that is at 11:15, and it will be at the community center,
Thank you.
okay? I think we can have a capacity of about 100 people. So we usually get between 70 and 80 members, but I am having everybody pre-register because I do need to let them know the night before we have to have 50 people for the meeting.
Okay.
When was the last time you didn't have 50 people for a meeting?
And we didn't even serve anything or sign up for anything.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Steve Young, and I live in 9 Woodman, Malta. I have two concerns that I wanted to address. The first concern is for the new road that's coming in. I'm not sure whether or not it's supposed to be going there's an intention to make it go all the way through to Kendall Way on the other side. If there is, then I guess my question would be what kind of traffic control you guys are going to put there, whether it's going to be a traffic light or a circle or an ingress and egress kind of situation where people can only turn in, turn out. The reason why I bring that up is because on the map that you guys have, it shows that there's snow. It looks like snow storage on the end of the Kendall Way in that apartment complex along that road. But if that's not the case, and you're going to have it go all the way through, it might end up working as a bypass, and I expect people to either try to make a left turn out of that coming out, or people shooting across from Partridge Drum across there. The other thing I would point out is that the map that you guys have also shows at one point what was planned to be the entrance to, I guess it was the senior community center, or the senior living, assisted living, the one on the other side of the street. And that study, the study they did for there, which I looked up, actually made sure to have an ingress and an egress, which you can see on the map. So I'm a little bit concerned that on the other side, where you guys are planning Kendall Way, there is no such indication of what kind of traffic controls you have there. And I just kind of worry about what kind of situation you're going to have at that intersection. So that's one concern I have. The second concern I have is sort of a long-term concern. Last year, when there was discussion about South Shore Marina, it came up before the plans went to the planning board. There was a discussion about financial payment, and there was some of the people actually quoted mentioned this is covered in Town Law 261. Sorry, I gotta look up this one. Town Law 261B. It says that section actually states under paragraph H, if the town board determines that a suitable community benefit or amenity is not immediately feasible or otherwise not practicable, the board may require, in lieu thereof, a payment to the town of a sum to be determined by the board. Now, the key words I see in that are if the town board has determined that a suitable community benefit or amenity is not immediately feasible. And I'm a little bit concerned that last year when this came up, before the plans went to the town, to the planning board, people were discussing how much, to pay, would go along with, how much to pay them. I believe one of the gentlemen who spoke for the plans actually at one point stated, well, we're giving you property tax for this, isn't that enough for payment? And I guess I want to, I'd like the town board to at least figure out at what what stage you're allowed to consider financial benefits in lieu of a community benefit. I think that's about it.
Can I answer that, or am I,
Sorry, what was it?
can I answer that, or
Sure.
because it isn't in an email, I feel obligated to respond. It's my understanding the town board can accept a financial benefit to the town in response to a PDD. That is the town board's decision as to how great that is and what it should actually end up to be.
If you leave your email with the clerk or on the sign-in sheet, I will answer your questions in an
Okay.
email tomorrow.
Yeah, I think my concern is that a person, people start presenting plans to the board and just kind of take it as a given that they're gonna, that they can provide a financial benefit without trying for any other benefit, or at least not making an actual good faith effort.
It is good faith, believe me. For the town, not for us as a payment. It's for the town.
Right. As I said, it may have just come across as to where the gentleman was from, but I believe he did state at the meeting, he just, I know Hartzell was talking to him and saying like he wanted to know how much there would be, how much the gentleman would be willing to pay per door.
Yeah.
And the gentleman
Town's
responded,
decision.
kind of like, he said basically something along the lines of, well, we're gonna get a property tax, isn't that enough? And,
It's beyond that.
right, and, but it kind of gave me the impression that he was, that he didn't think it was, kind of felt like he didn't really,
False impression, kind of.
yeah, so I don't, as I said, I don't know, it's,
Yep.
but I'd like that clarified, if possible.
Good question, though. Thank you.
Mr. Young, I have a question. Going back to the Kendall Way proposal, the extending that to Dunning Street, are you concerned about, you're asking what traffic control device would go there because you're concerned about people using that street as a bypass?
A little bit both. From what I can tell right now, when people are waiting too long, trying to get into the traffic circle at Dunning Street and 9, they will actually drive through the parking lot of, past the pizza place and everything. And to some degree, it's like I understand why there would be a bypass that be put into place. On the other hand, I kind of want to know what you're going to put, what kind of traffic control you're going to put there. Because I can easily see people coming from the other direction from Kendall Way trying to go through and make a left turn. Also, in theory, if you're going through and if you were kind of imagine yourself going through the bypass, going through Kendall Way and going behind the CVS, you have a choice of exiting onto 9 via the light over next to CVS, or there's now a new pathway to go behind the bank and go behind, Ellsworth Commons and everything to try to go out somewhere along those lines. I'm not sure whether, I just kind of want to know what kind of
Again, I will send you detailed
Yep,
comments
that's
about
fine.
what that road is
Right, and
proposed to do.
that's kind of why I was just bringing it up.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll move on in our agenda. The next item is comments from the town board. I just have one. We got a report for the month of February for the tax revenue from a single cannabis dispensary in the city of Saratoga Springs. At this point, it's the only dispensary in Saratoga County. The total sales tax received for the month was $14,994,000. Of that, the county received 25%, $3,748. The town of Saratoga received $1,551,000. And the city of Saratoga Springs, where the dispensary is located, received $9,694,000. Just in case anybody wants to revisiting the opting in and opting out.
Actually, I have a comment on that. My concern is the social impact, long haul of having any kind of a pot dispensary in town. And as long as I am in office, I'm a no. We have our drug problems in town. We just had a massive drug arrest down on Route 9 that involved 13 criminals, handguns, out of state, the whole ball of wax. We've discussed crime in this town over and over and over. And you know what? I'm going to keep repeating it over and over till it all goes away. Anyways, that's my opinion on any kind of drug places. There's stores in town that have tried to sell it, that weren't licensed for it. They closed them down, but they still operate there. And they were selling to kids, as I understand. So I am a no going forward.
Thank you, Craig. I wasn't really putting it out there necessarily, just FYI. I mean, anybody can weigh in if you like.
I don't like to do math in public, but it was about 3,500 per door resident at the Marina South Shore. Times about 90 units was going to be the public benefit. There was a dollar amount associated with it besides just tax benefit.
Thank you, Al. That's correct. Anybody, are there any other town board members or department heads have anything they'd like to?
I do have a few things. The MPR, that is the green service areas, as I'm told, going up Route 9, I understand developments that have been in process, committed to be included as a service area. What I don't understand to this day, I can't figure out why it goes up to the firehouse on the eastern side. Is there something going on in the background that the town board has not been informed of that we should know about if it comes up at a later time?
There is not.
I am concerned about that also.
Thank you.
It's, when we have the public hearing, it will be appropriate. There still is time to modify the map plan and report. And I think that discussion is better
Okay,
had once we have the public hearing.
I appreciate it. Couple other things. I kindly asked the supervisor for the communication between the town board and her to be increased. I have worked with 5 supervisors, and I hate to say it, but the communication needs to be increased. And I kindly ask for your response.
Actually, Craig had a detailed report prepared today that you were supposed to have received, but my secretary's been out from COVID, and
Ooh,
so it didn't get sent, but it will be sent tomorrow morning, first thing.
I would appreciate that.
And I apologize to everyone for that. You
The
should have received it. before this
reason
meeting.
why I ask is because I've been contacted by a few residents to be informed that you were out of the office, taking time off, not available, and instead of hearing it secondhand, I'd rather hear it firsthand. Thank you.
Something else?
That's all I have to say at this time.
Anybody else? Okay, well, we'll move on to our regular agenda. We have action items that were discussed last week. We have a resolution to I'm in the wrong file here. We have a resolution to award a bid as a, let me start over, sorry. As a part of our comprehensive plan, the next step, the comprehensive plan was adopted by the former town board last year. The next step in that process is to update the zoning that's been recommended in the comprehensive plan. So we sent out a bid for that work, and we got back 2 bids for it, and the low bidder was Barton and LaJudas. So we have a resolution to accept and enter into a contract with Barton and LaJudas to do the zoning work. Anybody wanna?
I have a question. Was, out of those 2 bids that came in, what was the smallest and of the 2?
They are in your packet. The bid from MJ was $133,000, $134,000. The bid from Barton and LaJudas was $77,000, so there was a significant difference. No, that's $79,000. Again, both of those bids are in your town board file for you to peruse. And it was determined that Barton and LaJudas is, it was a reputable, acceptable bid. And so that's the bid we have to accept.
Amy, Julia, are you acceptable as to those contracts? If you want to, yeah.
Actually, can we have a motion in a second before we continue the discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Questions?
So, hello, I'm the town comptroller. When we originally received both bids from MJ and Barton and LaJudas, I went back to the building and planning coordinator to make sure that the references and the qualifications of each of the bidders who submitted a bid were up to par and reputable, and both were. Per state, per procurement law, we do have to take the lower bidder, as long as there's nothing further that would deem that one of the bidders may not be able to produce what was in the scope of the bid.
Thank you.
Being that Barton Judas is $54,000 cheaper, I support the Barton and Judas.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next is, we have our community center brochure printed 3-4 times a year. And we went out to bid for the contracting of that printing, and the low bidder was Glens Falls Printing. So I'll entertain a motion to accept Glens Falls Printing to print our,
So moved. Second?
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Every year, we have a town-wide refuse collection over here in the parking lot of the court. And we went out to bid for that. We received 2 bids. The low bidder for that was Casella Waste. I don't believe a date has been set for that yet, but it should be set by the time the town newsletter comes out. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the Casella bid for the town-wide refuse.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is Old Post Road has had some damage done from erosion. It's collapsed. There's a situation where there needs to be some repairs done. In order for the town to undertake those repairs, we needed an easement from the property owner, and we now have an easement for the property owner for us to go onto the property to actually repair the road. And so I'll entertain a motion for us to enter into the said
So
easement.
moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is there's a development, an approved development on East Line Road called Mountain View Estates. And their proposed water source is from the Clifton Park Water Authority. We need to accept that water extension at some point. Tonight's action is to set the date for a public hearing about that extension on 3/25 at 6 PM. Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, no, maybe?
So moved.
Second? Well, I'll second it. So discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna be voting no on that until the residents of Miller Road have their traffic study addressed. Traffic in that area is just gonna be increasing over time as planned, approved developments move forward, so I will be a no going forward.
On setting the public hearing? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Al, what say ye?
Nay.
Matt?
Nay.
Next is the authorization of the execution of
Question?
oh, yeah.
Yeah, voting no for holding a public hearing, what is the recourse? It's simply asking for a public hearing. So what happens if there's no public hearing? Do plans go ahead as planned because there's no public hearing?
That's a good question.
That is a good
I
question.
would assume
But
typically if you hold a public hearing, you're getting
no in
comments.
support of water going forward, unless,
But you voted against the public hearing.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
You still can vote against the water
I'm,
extension.
I'm
I just want to
I'm
make sure we're
against-
clear. Yeah.
that simple, with good reason.
So there's no public hearing, and we should determine what happens as a result of no public hearing. It might
Then
go
we
ahead
gotta
without the
address the
public
other
hearing.
problem.
I'm with Craig, kind of want to hear what the traffic report is and what kind of control measures before we have a public hearing. And then the residents are going to get up and not know what the results of that hearing is or determination by the Department of Transportation. So to conduct a public hearing, I'd rather give the residents that are close by and where water lines will be running through their areas, that they would have that information first. It's minor, but I think it's information that should be known before we have a public hearing, and after the public hearing, then we go to a vote, so why not have all the information ahead of time?
So do they not have a copy of the report that we have?
Yes, they do.
They do, so they have the report.
They have a map plan and report for the extension of the water
That
district.
the public hearing would then be discussing.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I
They're
understand.
asking for a traffic study that has not
Just-
been ordered or,
Just for reference, though, it was last March 3rd, I believe, that we had made the request that the Department of Transportation do the engineer study, which is required if there was going to be any kind of traffic control device put on that street. Now, our references that we had a recent traffic control study come back from the Department of Transportation, which was on East Line Road and 67 to have a protected left turn lane. And that was about 18 months. So I would expect anytime to get results back right about before or after that time. So I just think it's information that the residents of the local area should have first before we have a public hearing to see what it is. That's all I got.
Well, in the absence of our town attorney, I'm not quite sure, how to proceed other than to pass this along until next time. I do want to point out to everyone, though, that this development also represents a significant conservation easement on an already overburdened road. Development can happen there with or without our permission, and they can come forward zoning compliant, so. But again, with the absence of our town attorney, we will have to regroup and figure out how to move forward.
From my knowledge on this water issues in town, it's pretty hard to construct any home, any development without water. So,
Are we on the clock for anything on the planning side? No? All right, so we're not on the clock for their application before we have a public hearing, correct? All right, so. So the town is under no obligation to be running the clock to make a decision on the water.
I would like this project be tied in with the traffic mitigation on Miller Road also. That is why I'm not supporting a public hearing yet until we have all the facts.
I would support a current study in the traffic. It's a huge issue with all the homeowners out there. It involves kids that ride their bikes to school, and it's time that these residents get heard. That's my position.
So that motion did not pass. We will move on to the authorization of the execution of the license agreement for Dunning Place. This is the housing development that's being built on Dunning. Part of that road that they're going to construct is on property that is currently owned by the town of Malta. We need to give them a license agreement to actually be able to construct the road. The road that, on the portion that we own, will be constructed to town standards, and upon the dedication of the rest of the roads in that development, we also will have that. So can I have a motion to?
So moved?
Any discussion?
Yes, Roger, regarding that development back there, are you satisfied with the street widths, radiuses in there for fire, et cetera?
I'm not satisfied with the dead end coming off the most eastern set, because there's no stackability and it's a dead end.
That's not part of the road we're discussing tonight, though. This is strictly the town-owned parcel on the western side of the development.
Thank you, Roger.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we are going to appoint Rachel Oberruder to the Open Space, Agricultural, and Trails Committee.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the resolution to set the date for the public hearing for Malta Water District Number 1. And this is regards the purchase of Saratoga Water Services. We have a map plan and report prepared. And Paul Ryan would like to have a remark about it.
No, first,
Yeah.
Lead agency.
yeah,
Oh, lead agency is the first one. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. The first resolution is to assign the town of Malta as lead agency for secret purposes. That's a New York State environmental impact stuff, so,
So moved.
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is set the date for the public hearing for the Water District. We are proposing to set that as a special meeting on March 18th at 6 PM. Hopefully that will give everyone adequate time to at least do some research and come make their voices heard.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
I got some questions.
have a
on
discussion.
that.
Discussion, sorry.
As I was talking to Bill earlier, I'm getting slammed with questions on this water. Understandably, my suggestion is to have a public forum for questions and answers, so we stick ahead on the rumors that are going throughout town on social media, Facebook, because there's wrong info getting out there, and we should clarify all questions right from the start.
Okay, I could answer that if you don't mind. My name's Bill Ryan, and I'm special counsel for the town. The resolution that you're considering for setting the public hearing for March 18th, 2024, starts the process. And within the notice of public hearing is information that's gleaned from the map plan and report that was prepared by CT Mail. That's number one. Number two, at the public hearing, Catherine Sarah from CT Mail and I will be here to review the costs associated with the acquisition of Saratoga Water Services, number one. And number two, to address any inquiries that your citizens or residents of the particular district may have. Number three, and most importantly, the resolution that will be considered by the town board after the public hearing is going to be subject to a mandatory referendum. And the mandatory referendum has to occur between 90 and 105 days after the resolution setting it. So there's going to be adequate time during that interim to dispel any rumors that are circulating and to adequately inform and educate your citizens. So I think we're putting the cart before the horse here, and let's just follow the process and we'll get through it. Believe me.
Thank you, Bill. I too am confident that we can
I'll
convince
direct
people
all
to-
my questions, I'll just forward them all to you, Bill.
That's fine.
I'm confident that the users of the district will see the benefit of the town of Malta owning this water system.
Anything else?
Did we have a motion, a second
Yes,
on
we
that?
did.
We did? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next is kind of a fun one. As everyone knows, we have not had a town historian since the beginning of the year when our other longtime historian retired. And so tonight, we are going to appoint Tom Williams. Raise your hand, Tom. He's going to be our new town attorney, hopefully. I'll entertain a motion. Or historian. You don't want to be the town attorney.
You want to be a
I'm
motion?
historian.
No,
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say that, it was great interviewing you and your passion for history, and I think you're going to be a great town fit. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Welcome to the town family, Tom. And I will reach out to you tomorrow and get Paul Peralt. We'll try to set up a time when you can go see your workplace and meet Paul and get
And I
started.
should also say, I should thank your wife for telling you to apply for that job. Thank you.
Just trying to get him out of the house.
I want to thank the supervisor and the town board for their confidence.
Last item on our agenda, last resolution is budget transfers. One of them is pretty routine about increasing the planning fees, and it's a result of like $200,000. It's a result of increasing the budget to reflect Global Foundries engineering bills. The second one is our contractual arrangement with the Saratoga County Sheriff was increased by $52,000 this year. And so the second budget transfer of $52,000 is to decrease our fund balance to pay that difference. Which,
That increase was allocated during October's budgets.
it was not. The budget,
That,
the budget was prepared. We didn't know of the increase until after the first of the year. The budget had been prepared
so what happened?
with the current amount. Had it been in the budget, we wouldn't have to have a budget transfer tonight, so.
Thank you.
Good point. So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And last, additional comments from the residents.
Yes,
One time only.
I'm sorry. I'm still only wearing two hats. As the chairman of the Malta Historic Preservation Review Commission, I welcome you, Tom. Very excited to have you be a part of this. At our senior meeting, when we introduce a new member, we either say something about yourself or we'll make it up. So, just saying, let me know what your history is, or you could end up in jail with my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else? You're hardly a member of the public, but,
I'm not?
but you can speak.
Hey, you missed your turn over here.
Last Friday, I attended a news conference. It was to, I guess the governor is decreasing the CHIPS program by 200 million. We're asking for 180 more. That was in the 5-year plan for the statewide. That doesn't include New York City, because that's under the MTA. And so we had a news conference, and it was on the TV news there last Friday night. So Jim Tedesco was there, Mary Beth Walsh was there, Matt Simpson, I think, from up north was there, and several of our highway superintendents did a good presentation to it. So hopefully they can see the light that need more money.
We need more money.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Roger.
Thanks, Raj. Could I comment on something with taxes? Thank you. I am concerned about our taxes in town. And I keep on hearing it's all based, it's all relative on our budget. The county taxes budget went down substantially. We don't have a town tax. But being a senior citizen that I hate to admit, on a fixed income, with a pension, with Social Security, I think it's time that if these taxes keep going up and up, especially on our school taxes and our cost of fire, EMSs, us as a town board have to sit back and really start answering and evaluating how to control them. Because it's out of control, and I'm not a huge fan of big government, believe me. I've gotten up here, I've answered questions from residents about the water and the assessments, and I battled. I disagree with my wife. Well, I'm telling you, my wife is starting to convince me that we have a problem in town. And I'm gonna go back for the senior citizens on a fixed income, come hell or high water. I'm done with it. I hear Tedesco out there. I get complaints from my daughter down in Brunswick. Her school taxes could almost double because Hochul has slashed the school funding from all the suburbs out there, slashed it from them, to give it back to the inner cities, along with the illegal immigrants, excuse me, and I haven't even looked at how it's going to affect our town. But the assembly's addressing it. I've called several assemblymen, and this is on my focus.
But thank you,
I
Colonel.
hope I have others that back me on it, too.
I'm not sure this is the appropriate place for that discussion, but thank you for your comments.
It's a comment.
Yep. Any other comments from anyone? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.